Hello, everybody. It's another Monday. It's another MCU loving, MCU loving Marvel Monday here, talking about Doctor Strange this week, and as part of our rewatch and re-rank of all of the Marvel movies. This is what, like 13 or something? I think so.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. 13 or 14. I think we're about halfway through all of the MCU movies.
14 is the count that I have.
Aha. So I think that's right around the middle.
I don't do math.
Yeah. All right. We don't. Tell me if you want to do the math and let us know. Do that. But yeah. So yeah, we're talking Doctor Strange today. I didn't tell you guys, but what I would like to do for the plot recap this week, do one of my favorite improv games of 128 seconds. I'm going to recap the plot in 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and then Chad, you're going to do the same thing, but in half the time, and we'll keep going, cutting the time in half until we can recap the entire plot of this movie in 1 second. Yeah, don't have to completely copy me, but you just have to fill that time with the plot recap. See how it goes.
All right, so I can close my alphabet cheat sheet.
Well, you can do it all in alphabetical order.
Yeah, if you want to do it in alphabetical order, you do that.
Oh, I don't think I can handle two challenges at the same time.
Okay, here we go.
So you have the timer?
Yeah.
Or are we going to go by the live time count?
The live time count. I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of math because it's 2 minutes and 8 seconds for the first round, and then we'll figure it out from there. So I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, and now. Hey, so Doctor Strange. It starts. We got a cold open where we see a bunch of goons, magic goons, cut off a librarian's head and take an evil book. Or pages out of the book, right? And then that's our cold open. And then we go to meet Doctor Strange, and he's a jerk, but he's very good at doing surgery. You see him pull a bullet out of somebody's head, freestyle, right? And you see his crazy cool apartment and his tons of watches. He's got a lot of watches and drives like a jerk because he's just a jerk all around. Gets in a big old car accident, breaks his hands. They get filled with glass, and so he can't use his hands to do surgery anymore. And like that's his like number one thing. And then so we see him go through like a whole montage of physical therapy and trying to convince other doctors to let him do like experimental surgery on his hands to get his hands back. And he finds out that from his physical therapist that Benjamin Bratt was crippled. He broke his spine or something, but then he can play basketball now because he went to the mystical East, and he learned how to use magic to walk again. So Doctor Strange goes and does that. In Nepal, he meets the Ancient One, who is not an old Asian man, but a middle-aged white lady, and he learns the ways of mystical everything from her. He learns about the astral plane. He punches his soul right out of his body, and he goes through the astral plane and learns about that and magic and stuff. Mads Mikkelsen is the evil guy who's trying to destroy the Earth or something. And he fights him. Fights Scott Adkins. Oh, and then he gets stabbed with a magical weapon, and his girlfriend has to save him in surgery. And the Dark Dimension, and that is
tagged to me.
Yes. Okay, Chad, do that, but faster, and do the whole movie.
Oh, start from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, damn. I thought I was going to be able to continue from where you left off.
Yeah, do that.
Maybe you only have 64 seconds?
Yes.
All right,
64 seconds.
64 seconds. And should I start it from...
Whenever you start, we'll start counting.
All right. I am not quite ready to start yet because I need to figure out exactly what my time limit is going to be because I'm just watching the clock right now.
Yeah, 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Yeah, so when it hits 5:54 is when I'm going to start. So
okay.
I'm going to do magic hands to let you know that I'm ready. All right. Magic Hands, Dr. Stephen Strange. He's a jerk. He is in charge of going to save the world from Caecilius, who's played by Mads Mikkelsen. He and a group of his cultists stole pages out of a book detailing an evil ritual. Dr. Stephen Strange was an award winning neurosurgeon and also kind of an asshole. And he ends up getting into a bad car wreck. His hands are basically destroyed. There's so much nerve damage that rehab is never going to help him. So he instead seeks help from the mystical East, and he goes to Kamar Taj to try and learn from the Ancient One, who is a very, very pale white woman, I would like to point out. And he learns the ways of magic. He hangs out with all the people there and makes friends, and then he finds out that he's going to have to save the world from Dormammu, which he does by getting his ass kicked over and over and over again.
In time. Oh, perfect.
Okay.
All right, Rory. So you got 34 seconds?
32.
No, 32 seconds. 32 seconds. You got the entire
All right.
plot of this movie. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Give me just a second here. I'll start on a nice round number of 7:30. All right. Okay, so the bad guy of Doctor Strange is a guy whose name I don't actually know, but he's Mads about something. He kills a guy, takes a book. Doctor Strange shows up. He's a dick. He hurts his hands in a car accident. He can't do medicine. He can't do masturbation. So he can only learn how to do magic, which he does in Nepal. He learns it really quick because he's got one of them photo memories. Saves the world, stops that one dude, picks up a building, and brings time to a timeless place.
In time.
Where the mama lives.
All right.
Boom!
Boom. All right. So I have to do it in 16 seconds here. All right. And we'll start at 15 seconds after. Okay, so Doctor Strange, he's a jerk doctor, and he breaks his hands, so he learns magic to be able to use his hands again, and he fights Mads Mikkelsen, and then and uses time powers to defeat an evil universe all its own. Also in the post-credit scene, Mordo beats Benjamin Bratt with a crowbar, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Chad, 8 seconds to recap the entire plot of this movie. Whenever you're ready. Oh, I think I muted you. Someone's muted somebody.
I've muted myself.
Aha!
So, because I was still trying to finish my dinner. So, like I said, I'm going to do Magic Hands show when I'm starting,
Okay.
which is going to be right now. Evil ritual pages. Ouch, my hands. I'm a wizard. I'm here to bargain, Dormammu. Ah, I'm going to die. No, I'm back. Ah, I'm going to die.
Perfect. All right, Roy. 4 seconds.
All right. And Harry Potter, but adult, has a job and wins in one movie.
All right, 2 seconds to me. Yo, and I will start right at 35. Doctor Strange was a jerk, but then learned his magic, and now he's got friends.
Time.
All right, Chad, you got 1 second to tell everyone the plot of this movie, Doctor Strange from 2016. Whenever you're ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready for this? Magic Hands.
Perfect.
I see how you set that up in advance.
Yeah.
That was well done.
Yeah, I couldn't tell where your beginning hand gestures began and your actual description of the movie started.
No, I just did the beginning Magic Hands, and I just kept doing them until you guys indicated that you got the joke.
But all right, so thoughts about this movie just before we really get into the plot.
So originally when I saw this movie, I felt like I didn't really care for Doctor Strange as a standalone character ahead of time.
Right.
Like he's a great side character. When he shows up in Spider-Man, I'm always like, yes, this is going to be one of the best ones.
Right.
But then when the movie came out, I feel like I would have been really impressed, but I had seen Inception, so like the spectacle of it was less spectacle,
Right.
and like that's not fair because like they're coming out. It's not like they ripped anything off, but um, still, it was kind of like Inception stole his thunder. Um, but other than that, like I feel like this was as good. At the time I thought this was as good of a movie as Doctor Strange could be after Inception and Harry Potter had both come out.
The two main thoughts that I want to mention about this movie before we get started. Number one, in the same way that the costuming in Thor was a tribute to Kirby, like it's
Right.
very specifically Jack Kirby stuff. The visuals in this movie, the special effects, I think are the same way they are a tribute and a shout out, a dedication to Steve Ditko, who created Doctor Strange and also did like some real trippy visuals with what he was able to do with the comics. And it's a lot, obviously, it's not the exact same kinds of effects, but that sort of uh, the trippiness of it, like the sort of idea that it's like these visuals would be at home on a blacklight poster kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very much faithful to the comics in that
Oh, okay.
regard. The second thing that I want to mention is this has my favorite joke in the entire MCU.
What's that?
In the history of the MCU, the best that the humor's ever gotten to me is Mr. Doctor.
It's very good.
Because it's perfect. It's exactly in character for both of the characters that are saying it.
Right.
Like it doesn't compromise either of them, and it's also a very short thing. It's not
Yeah.
a long drawn out scene.
Yeah, that one really got me.
Sorry, David. I'll wait till you tell us what you thought about the movie.
Oh yeah, I liked it more this time than when I first watched it. Like you were saying with the visuals and stuff, as far as it being like with all the buildings moving around and everything, it feels very Inception, even though it's different. But it can't get away from that. You're just feeling like, oh, I've seen this before, and so like this movie's probably got the most of like the CGI stuff going on in it. So when I remember watching it, being like, I'm not into this. But like as we go through these movies, I kind of have to. I can't make that my a big criticism of every movie. Otherwise, we can't just watch any of these movies. So I try to look past that and try to look for other parts of the story and stuff. So I like this movie better than I did the first time. We'll get to all the weird whitewashing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing about this movie. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Rory?
Oh, I was just gonna say. What was I gonna say? Crap, I don't. It had something to do with the humor in it. Oh, one thing that I didn't like about the humor in this movie, and I feel like usually I'm the one that's okay with the humor, but the thing that I didn't like so much about it is a lot of times in the comics it feels like Doctor Strange is a master of the mystic arts. For a human in the mortal plane, he's really good, but every time he comes across like Dormammu or somebody that's an actual magic person, he's really out of his depth. Like it. So like in the comics, at least when you're reading from Doctor Strange's perspective, it feels a little bit more like he doesn't know if he's going to win every time. And in this one, I felt like because of the brevity of the movie, it felt like he was too good, too fast throughout the whole thing.
Right.
So,
yeah, he definitely starts off very cocky and self-assured. He never really loses his confidence in himself. Just like, despite everybody telling him, that's the lesson he's supposed to learn, and he doesn't really. But kind of. Yeah, that was the other thing. The runtime of this movie. This is the first sub 2 hour movie we've seen in a while. So I was like, oh, I should give it extra points for that. But, yeah. Um,
I do feel like, and I know I make a lot of homoerotic comments on
mm,
the stream and in life.
right. Yeah.
But
We've all seen your Twitter account.
I feel like this might be construed as a homoerotic comment, but I don't mean it this way.
Mm,
Like if I had to be if I got to choose who murdered me,
right.
it would be Mads Mikkelsen.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah,
I had to pick one. Yeah.
like I mean, it's got to be somebody, and I want it to be him.
Right.
Like, it's just one of those things. Like I feel like this character was stupid, but he still managed to make me be like, you know, fuck it. He seems ominous. I'll take
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Even with the David Bowie-esque eyeshadow, like.
I actually liked it when they did the close-ups of it and you see it's like purple crystals burned into his face. I think that's a cool look.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you'd be surprised if that's what, like, the death squad that got sent to your house was wearing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
A little sparkly.
Yeah. Also, it seems like there was a lot of fighting for a magic movie.
Yeah, that was one of my things about it. It's like they have the ability to use magic to like do anything. You can punch people's souls out of their bodies, right? But then everyone uses their magic to like make swords. Like that's cool, but also like, you know, we don't want to just see you guys be ninjas.
That's what Shang-Chi's for.
Right? Yeah, exactly. This you would think there would be more magical stuff. I always thought he's supposed to be like the psychedelic, weird, crazy, like 60s superhero, right?
Yeah.
Like his whole thing. Like the strangeness. There's not enough strangeness in this movie. There's like the one part where you get like the weird fractal hands with hands growing out of his hands. Like that was cool. I wanted more of that. I wanted more hands.
Hands on hands on hands.
Yeah.
Like generally I'm not the person on the boat of saying like not another origin story. Like I'm usually fine with them. But this one I felt like trying to get the origin story with a big bad at the same time wasn't like Dormammu was too much.
Right.
I feel like it would have been cooler if we had just seen him as the Sorcerer Supreme, like not through his training, but for him actually like first day on the job after his promotion kind of thing. That would have been cool. And then it would have cut out a lot of the stuff that turns out we didn't really need because they just blew past it anyway.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange doesn't really have a great character arc in this movie. Like he doesn't really grow that much as a person.
Right.
Like mostly he just sort of mellows.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he realizes that, you know, he can make mistakes, I think is sort of the biggest thing. Because one of the things that they hit on real often, real hard at the beginning of the movie is his perfect record. The idea that, you know, as a surgeon, he has had nothing but success. And he's not willing to put his reputation on the line for any possibility of failure.
Right.
So, being that the way that he overcomes at the end of the movie is by losing over and over and over, that's the closest thing that we really get to a character arc for.
Right. Yeah.
And because that's all the character arc we get, I actually agree with Rory. This did not need to be an origin movie. Like, honestly, he could have come in just as competent as the Ancient One.
Right.
for this movie. Like he could have basically taken the place of her character, and it could have been a story more about how he was losing Mordo, or
Mm,
we could have gone more into depth about just the magical guardians and all of that stuff.
right.
But yeah, even like if the whole reason why Mads Mikkelsen went nutso was because he didn't get Sorcerer Supreme, then he's kind of like, well, fuck it. If I'm not getting promoted, I'm out.
Right.
That would have made. I feel like I would have been a lot more invested.
Mhm.
Because like even like the only reason I cared that they killed Wong in the finale
Mhm.
before they brought him back was it was just like, oh,
Did you
I
like that
really
guy?
like that
Right.
actor. Like I just want to see him all the time. Um, but
Yeah.
And lucky you, Wong is now the centerpiece of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. That's good to know.
nice. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about the last few movies that have come out.
That's
Who's the
true.
cameo?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the new Nick Fury.
He's the Nick Fury. Yeah. Cool. And the other thing about like if they just kind of skip the whole origin story stuff, so we don't have to see all of this crazy Buddhist monastery thing with no Asian people in it, right? Except Wong is
Right.
the only one because like that was the whole big thing about this movie is that how they whitewashed the ancient one, made it from like an old Asian man to a very pale old older white woman, Tilda
Mhm.
Swinton. She does a great job with it, but like the director even said like the ancient one, he's kind of this like cartoonish, like crazy, um, stereotypical character, and we can't. There's no way to like put an Asian guy in there and not make him look crazy. But I mean, there is. He just didn't want to figure out how to do it, and probably that white
Like
guy director probably isn't the one to do that.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
right, but he doesn't want to talk himself out of a job. So he's got to be like, no. See, we swapped the genders and made it this thing that you wouldn't expect. So now we can't be racist because we don't have any characters of that race in the movie. He said,
I'm
that's
I'm not racist. You're sexist.
right. Yeah. So we don't have this weird thing that we're thinking about all the time. But how? Because they still maintain all of the imagery, right? They go to Nepal and have the monastery and stuff, and everyone's wearing the robes and they're doing all the katas and summoning all the stuff with the hands and whatever. And like yeah, it's all still very coded, very Eastern mysticism and all that stuff. But then when there's just no Asian people in it because that's the problematic part.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything is extremely Orientalist,
Right.
but the only Asian people are Wong and a
Yeah.
bunch of people whose names I didn't know until the credits.
Right. Yeah.
And like I feel like and I feel like this is a problem with the Marvel characters that the comics have had the time to get over is
Right.
like um at the time when Doctor Strange came out or Iron Fist came out, at that time having an ancient one that's the wise old Oriental guy
Right.
that like now looking back on it we're like, oh, that's super racist, but like at the time it was like, oh, there's an Asian dude and he's not a bad guy.
Right.
Like that's a little, it's more progressive for the time.
Right.
Like but when they're making the movies, it's like you said, there's a way to update that so it's not racist and not coded. They just didn't do it.
Right.
And like they tried to like I'll give them like a half point for not just being like, well, what's wrong with having the wise old ancient guy? Like,
Right.
but I feel like that was a swing and a foul.
Yeah. And also because that whole kind of white savior issue or whatever. Like the white guy
Yeah.
shows up, he's just the best at it for everybody. So that's
The
still all that stuff is still in there.
mhm. The other issue with it is we don't know how much that actually played into the decision to have a middle-aged white woman.
Mm-hmm.
instead of the wizened old Asian dude.
Right.
Because the other thing about it is like this is basically Tibet, and we don't want to piss off China because we know that there's money there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like how much of that factored into the decision to not make the ancient one an old Asian guy.
Right. Yeah, we have to. It sucks that we have to be aware of all the politics and things that people are thinking about when they're making the movie, and then well, that affects our ability to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I just want to know about all the drugs that they do.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good movie.
And back when white people were the only ones allowed to make movies, we didn't think about it. We did do a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
More
But-
white people and more drugs. That's what's going to make Hollywood great again.
Yeah.
That being said, I do feel like I understand the plot. I understand what they were doing with the plot with bringing Mordo in, but like it really irritated me both times that Wong wasn't always in the scene. Like
Right.
Benedict Wong is just always like pretty much the best part of everything he does.
That's true.
Like if I could choose one person to be the person that just points out every time I did something wrong, instead of it being everyone else, it would just be him.
Right.
Like, have you guys watched him in Marco Polo on Netflix?
No.
No.
Like, you root for Genghis Khan all the time. Like,
Wait,
I
you
was-
don't do that already in real life?
well, I mean, he's so good that he makes somebody that isn't from anywhere near there root for him, be like, yeah, he should take over Europe. Fuck those guys. More Genghis Khan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely.
like
in
history
this,
would be better if it was just him, his harem, and his horses riding over everything.
instead of it being one out of every 10 people are a descendant of Genghis Khan, if one out of every like 3 people was, the world would be better, or at least
If 1 out of 3
more
people was
charismatic.
descendant of Genghis Khan
Right.
or Benedict Wong, we would become Klingons.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely noticed whenever he was on screen, I was like, man, I'm paying a lot more attention. This is better when he's on screen than when he's not.
Because he's the best.
Yeah.
He is.
Man, I hope he gets a good kiss in one of these movies. What's the over-under on the chance of you seeing Benedict Wong kissing somebody in a Marvel movie?
I mean, I'm gonna. He's
If
a
that
monk,
happens,
so
it's going to end up being the same way that the first kiss in Ant-Man was.
Behind a closed door.
Where it's like someone just opens the door and Wong's making out with someone and they're just like, oh,
Oop.
my bad.
I mean, it's probably also going to be that lady that's in Shang-Chi. What's her name?
His sister?
Leo?
Sorry?
His sister?
No, the other one. His friend.
Aquafina.
Aquafina.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I was sitting there being like, I know it's the name of something else. What?
It's great that you, yeah. Like I know her name is something, a thing that's not like a person's name, but what is it? I can't remember what it is.
I was like, Ashkezani's Zeus. So I know she's not that.
Yeah. So in
Alright.
the, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, that's.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to move on.
I was just thinking about how in the opening surgery scene when he's Doctor Strange is doing like the music trivia thing, and they try to like make that a thing, part of his personality, and how that's one of those humor things that doesn't work, and like how when someone's that pedantic about what year an album came out, I'm like, oh, this guy's a jerk. And I don't know if we're supposed to think that he's cool and loves music, or he's one of those guys, but like he really comes off as one of those guys.
I think they were trying to show that he had a photographic memory,
Oh yeah,
but they failed at that too.
right.
I just want to point out that what you just said was so accurate, David, that you were talking about somebody being that guy and you
Right.
used pedantic in a sentence, non-ironically.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to comment on that because, yeah, that guy is being pedantic.
I don't think that was meant to make him look cool.
Right.
I
Okay.
I believe that, like Rory said, that was sort of hinting at the photographic memory.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about it is that once you find out that someone has a photographic memory, any hint of coolness that you got from knowing random facts
Right.
is completely obliterated because it's like, of course you know it. You have photographic memory. You
Yeah.
know everything that you've ever seen.
And you know you're going to do gross stuff to him.
Mhm.
Just so that because he can never forget it, like an elephant.
Yeah. Just like, oh, you want to know? You made fun of me for not knowing when that CD came out. This is what I'm eating.
Now
Think
remember
about
that.
Yeah.
Remember that at 2 a.m. when you're having
Yeah.
trouble sleeping.
What's your favorite food? I'm going to ruin it for you. But yeah, and like that's the thing is like I feel like we all like Doctor Strange a lot more in the Infinity Saga. Whatchamacallit? Not Endgame. The Infinity War.
Mhm.
Like that Doctor Strange is exactly the Doctor Strange from the comic books of like I liked him. I liked him in Thor Ragnarok. This Doctor Strange, I was like, you're almost there, but not quite.
Yeah.
And
The problem that Doctor Strange has is sort of similar to the Superman problem. But the issue is that the personality is very different. With Doctor Strange and Superman, you're both dealing with characters that are so unbelievably hyper competent at what they do that nothing should really be a problem for them. Like
Right.
Doctor Strange can do anything basically because magic.
Right.
Superman is like, the strongest and the fastest and yada, 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 yada. So he should be able to do anything. But with Superman, the problems that you present him with are things that can't be solved by lifting heavy things or flying around really quickly. But because Doctor Strange's problems are not involved in things that you make Superman have to worry about, like caring about other people. Doctor Strange doesn't really give a shit about other people.
Right.
Doctor Strange is in charge of making sure that reality doesn't break down.
Yeah.
And because of that, his problems have to be exponentially bigger rather than basing it in anything like his humanity. And because of that, you also end up sacrificing a lot of what makes a person someone who you cheer for in a movie.
Right.
And unfortunately, this movie has that same kind of problem. Like, I think that because they got a relatively well-liked actor and they gave him not too much joking around, but sort of just enough.
Right.
That you're just like, oh, well, I guess he's okay, despite all of the other things that you've seen him do that make him be like, this guy is not okay.
Right.
And
well, like, I'm sorry.
that's what makes it tough to make a Doctor Strange movie, because he's better as a side character to come in and help you solve gigantic problems,
Right.
or tell you, hey, gigantic problems are happening, I need your help.
Well, like that, I feel like you really hit it there, because like in the comics, like there's nothing that stops Superman from being as fast as he wants, as strong as he wants, right? But like the interesting thing about Doctor Strange is that like, yes, he can do whatever he wants with magic, but like in the comics, he's always explaining what the cost is if he does
Mhm.
it. Where it's like, yeah, I could just go out and kill all the bad guys, but the magic required to do that would allow other things to find us. So that's why I can't do it that way. It's less the it's almost like that Hulk problem of like, yeah, I could do it, but if I do, there's other consequences, and all of that leads up to you having to stop me, which you cannot do. So it's really like it's that core humanity that keeps him from going off the dark side or too far into the dark, and they just didn't hit that with this movie. That it's not like the thing that Mordo is upset about is fucking around with magic you shouldn't, and that's kind of Doctor Strange's saying is he does that, but he always has to know when to pull it back. And that's what makes him an interesting character to read. Is it's not like he makes deals with devils all of the time.
Right.
How does he do that and still maintain enough of his soul? That's the cool thing.
That's what's oh, sorry, David.
Oh, I was just gonna say he's got the ability basically to do anything, but yeah, like you said, there's a price and a cost to that, and he's got to bear that, and so that does make him a lot more interesting than.
Or even other people have to bear it, and that's what makes him really interesting.
Right, but he still has that responsibility.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting with the movie is they don't touch upon what you were saying at all in terms of like the cost of him doing stuff, but they have the character of Baron Mordo being like, no, these prices are too high that you're paying to do these things, and we don't see him ever having to pay the cost for doing anything like that. We barely even got to see the Ancient One having to pay any kind of a price for whatever dark dealings that she had. But the thing is, what we see in the arc of the MCU is we start to see the consequences of Doctor Strange and people like him, where all of the things are starting to break, and we're going to see the costs of it probably in May for Multiverse of Madness. And I think that that's really interesting that they're setting up Mordo as a counterpoint to that, where it's like, this is just going to prove him correct. And you know, like in the same way that not to talk too much about a movie that we're going to have to talk about later, but in the same way that the 3 Spider-Man movies are Spider-Man's true origin story, I almost feel like Doctor Strange is not the full origin story of Doctor Strange. The one that we're going to that we comic book readers are familiar with is going to be the Doctor Strange that comes out on the other side of the story that is continuing in Multiverse of Madness. Whether that's the end of his story or not, or the end of his origin story or not, we don't know until we watch it.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the Iron Man thing. Where like the 3 Iron Man movies kind of make Tony Stark into who he is for most of the movies, right? So similar thing. I think he's kind of the new Tony Stark in a lot of ways, but the next phase of the MCU movies. Sense.
I did like what they did with his Doctor Strange's signature energy beam things, the bands of Sidorak. I like how they used that in the movie. Which, for those of you that don't know, Sidorak is like one of those super demons. And
Chad, what's that place where you get like all the meat you can eat for like 90 minutes with Korean barbecue? Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
I always think of it as that alcohol.
Ciroc,
that's the one. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't want those. Oh, magic. That's sorry, my bad. I was talking about something else. Oh,
Isn't Sidorak also the guy that gives Juggernaut his powers?
exactly.
Oh,
And
So
that's the
if
thing
you have
is,
too much Sirach, you
yeah.
might start to feel like nothing can stop you.
I'm gonna have to try that out. Um, but he's one of those infernal demons that Doctor Strange does dealings with in order to use that power. But that particular demon, unlike Dormammu, doesn't really want like world conquest. He just wants to fuck things up. So
Right.
like the more damage you're doing with it is the more power he'll give you. Um, so that's one of the interesting things from the comic books that doesn't make that I feel like they really could have put in here is like, yeah, if you're going to be using this, you can't use it defensively because that's an offensive thing.
Right.
If you're using it defensively, that demon isn't going to give you enough power to stop anybody with it. Like,
Right.
and like even Harry Potter did that. Where it's like if you're going to use Killing Curse, you got to mean it. You can't just kind of half-ass want someone dead. But I feel like, even though I feel like that makes it a better story in general, I feel like those world building things are what makes it not just like random magic, but it's like a serious thing of like, why isn't everybody using the same magical spell? And it's like, oh, because if somebody whips out the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, it's not like Sidorak is going to give you another thing to attack the guy he's already given power, so you have to like know what you're doing and blah blah blah. So
Right. I think that's just like whenever you got magic in like TV shows or movies, like you have to like the spell part of it and the part where you have to get a bunch of people and sit in a circle and do an incantation with like goat's blood or whatever for hours just to do a spell to find our keys or something. Like that's how you when you're showing people learning magic. It's like a lot of that stuff. You need Eye of Newton, all that kind of stuff. And then by the end, it's just you're shooting lasers out of your hands with no problems and doing telekinesis and things. And that's just for a movie or a TV show, you just kind of have to do that. But it's weird to me. That's why I don't like watching a lot of magic stuff, I guess.
Well, I think that's one of the things that is hard to get across to people that are including magic in their stories is that like if you're gonna do it, you have to do it all the way. Like you can't just put a spaceship in a regular TV show and be like, oh, we were just doing 24, but now there's a spaceship here, and that's just going to be a plot device to get us to this other continent, and then we're never going to talk about the spaceship again.
Right.
Like, you can't, like, if you're going to be doing magic, you have to be like, there's rules. This is what the rules are. This is why the characters can't break the rules. Otherwise, magic is just like you say. It's like a bunch of stupid shit that as soon as the plot doesn't allow us to do it, we move forward. And I feel like this movie had the perfect opportunity of like that guy who learned how to play basketball again. In order to do the thing that he wanted to do, he has to use so much of his magic and comprehension to just make himself walk that he can't do anything else.
Right.
Like, it would have been
I got
great.
a lot of questions about his life.
I just feel like Doctor Strange, like if they were explaining like, yeah, every time you're having one of those spells that's just yours to command at any moment in time, you're sacrificing a piece of yourself in order to implant that in you. Doing all the spells is what allows you to stay human. But the moment you're shooting laser hands, that means you've given something to this demon in order to call that every single time. So like those guys that are more and more powerful, they're losing more and more. Like that would be more of an interesting thing, because then every time you gain power, you lose some part of yourself, then that's more of a character story rather than just figure out how to use an Infinity Stone and then bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned that the whole Benjamin Bratt thing of how he's using magic to be able to walk again, but he's still like he's just using that magic to be able to play basketball, and he still like works in a workshop with crowbars and things. Like he learned magic, he can do all kinds of stuff, but that's what he is doing with it. And then also, what was his life like in that monastery up until the point and he left? I was like, okay, now I can walk, so I guess I'll see you guys later. Like, is that what everybody is there for? Or like,
yeah,
Yes.
they pushed him onto
Okay.
Everest. Like he didn't walk through the thing. They just like wheeled him up, chucked him out, and were like, figure out how to use your hands again. But other than that, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I think that at some point they actually addressed in the movie that everyone who is at Kamartaj is there to be healed in some way. Like, one of the things that I put in my notes before they mentioned that is everyone at Kamartaj scarred? Because I wrote that after we saw that one master who didn't have a hand but could still do the hand thing.
Right.
The Doctor Strange was like, my hands are busted. No wonder I can't do this magic. It's like, this guy's got no hands. He can still do it. What's your problem, bro?
I felt like that was also a time for where humor should have been there, because once he did all of that stuff and like basically crotch shotted Doctor Strange should have just been like, you know what, that was amazing.
It would fit because his character is such a dick. So
Yeah, that totally would have been a joke that he would say.
And like that's kind of like the other thing too, is like Doctor Strange from the comic, and I'm reaching a little bit back for this one, but like he went to get his hands healed and then found out that like he could go a lot farther with magic. So it wasn't like as he actually made the choice to become a sorcerer before he became a sorcerer supreme. Because like how shitty was the Ancient One that like a guy who just learned how to do magic could hold his own against like 3 of those wizards.
Right, yeah, the ones that killed her. Yeah, that's the whole thing about him. He's just so good at he's the smartest and the best, so he learns it better and faster and at a higher degree than everyone else. But then it's like her whole lesson about you need to let go of your ego and be and don't be afraid to be part of you can't punch a river into submission or whatever, all that stuff. He doesn't do that. He just uses his force of will and his innate betterness of everyone to be great at what he's doing. But that really misses out a big chunk of his arc there. So that's kind of
I also feel like it's one of those things that like I see all the time in like fantasy movies and sci-fi movies. When you're trying to make one guy a badass, you wind up making everybody else lesser. And like the reason why why Thanos looked so badass when we first meet him in Infinity War is because we've watched the Hulk rip through buildings, beat the shit out of gods, cold clock Thor. So when Thanos walks in and just straight boxes them into submission,
right,
we're like, holy fuck. And that's kind of the thing, is like, if we had seen everybody else do amazing stuff and then watch Doctor Strange be like, well, I just remember the books, so here I'm going to do it. And then that would have seemed impressive,
right,
rather than just like, oh, well, these guys are just ninjas with invisible swords. Like, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys stopped using magic and started using Glocks, those guys would not be a problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
We've
you
been
know,
ripping this movie a bunch. What were some stuff that you guys liked about
yeah. Think that I think Chad, you mentioned earlier that Benedict Cumberbatch is a very good actor, very well liked actor. Like the
Mhm.
cast is very good. Everyone when they were doing like actor stuff, I think does a really good job. Like
Yeah,
the
honestly, I almost feel like Ancient One is probably the worst actor in the movie,
mm,
and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Tilda
Tilda
But
Swinton?
Swinton. Yeah.
she's good. She's a good actress.
Yeah.
It's just that everyone in this movie is very good.
Yeah.
I realized that this is gonna come across as like super white, and I apologize for that. Um, but if you just kind of take the whitewashing out of it, like if that wasn't a valid concern about
Right.
this movie, I felt like the cast and the way it was written didn't shit on the idea of being magic so
Mm,
much.
Hmm.
Like they didn't walk around calling humans muggles or anything like that, right?
right.
Like they explained magic in a way that, like when Tilda Swinton was like, if you don't like the terminology spell, think of it as a program that we're using to change reality. Where I was like, oh, that does make me feel less lame.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, like I understand you guys are still wearing robes and you don't need to be, because you guys, as far as I can tell, this isn't even a religious thing. You guys are just wearing robes.
Right.
Like actual monks have a reason. You don't. You could be doing this in Levi's. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. Um, but like, if you take out that whitewashing, everything else in this was good for the story that it was. Where
Mm,
it didn't feel. I didn't feel like Iron Man could have beat Dormammu.
right.
Like I saw the reason for it. Um, and even though I don't feel like the plot sold it well enough, like the bad guy had a reason of being like, oh, the ancient one's lying. Dormammu is going to make us live forever. That's a decent reason for what he's doing. Um, if he actually thinks he's going to be helping people.
Right.
So, and once again, I realize that we should not look the other way from the whitewashing or the racist connotations. I'm not suggesting that we do. I'm just saying every other part of the movie did do a good job of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
One of the uh, a major point that I do want to point out about how we were ripping the movie for so many things
Right.
outside of the white savior stuff. Almost all of our complaints are about what the movie's not doing, what the
Mm,
movie could have done, or we felt should have done.
right.
They're not about what the movie was, because what the movie was a very competent story. I feel
Mm,
like it was tightly plotted. I feel like I would have liked a lot more explanation about certain things and have gone into depth about it. But what it gave to us, I thought it did a good job at. Not a
yeah.
great job, but a good job.
And admittedly, Doctor Strange is a hard concept to cross from page to movie, just in
Hmm.
general. And it's made that much harder being a coming where it did at 13 or 14, right?
Right.
Like, it would be a lot easier to make a Doctor Strange movie pre MCU,
Hmm.
where that's the origin of Doctor Strange. And then he was if he had been the Tony Stark, we'll say, um, of the MCU, that would have been an easier story to tell instead of trying to marry it to all the stuff that's already happened in
Right.
the MCU.
Yeah, I did like another thing about this where it felt like its own movie. Like there are the parts where it ties into the greater MCU, but like after coming out of Civil War last week, where it's like every 5 minutes we got to stop and give a few minutes to these other storylines so we can set up the next movie and the next franchise and everything. Like this is like its own contained story generally. Like we get little Easter eggs and stuff, but it doesn't really play into the plot of this movie. So I really enjoyed that part of it a lot. And I really like the scene right before he leaves for Nepal, where Rachel McAdams is in his apartment. It's like, hey, just because your hands don't work, that doesn't mean your life's over. There's other stuff. There's more other things you can have, important things in your life. And he's like, what, like you? And like, it's like a really, really strong moment. And Benedict Cumberbatch being a great actor, and Rachel McAdams too. And
Mhm.
that really, and we go, man, I like watching people be mean to beautiful women. It's enjoyable when they do it really well.
Well, I feel like more than more than anything else that had happened, him dropping that line was where I was like, oh, that's how cocky and arrogant he is.
Right.
Is that he can be like, fuck you, Rachel McAdams. I don't need you. And any other guy would just be like, what, you know what? You're right. I could, if you're part of it, I'm good. I don't even need hands unless you want them. We could do one gimp hand and one stump and just, whatever you're into. I do feel like she had such a little part in this, but she also did a really good job of selling herself as a competent and caring character. Like, at no point in time did I feel like she was completely love struck or stupid. I felt like I feel like he kind of nailed it, where she does have a little bit of a Florence Nightingale syndrome going on, but at the same time, like, it felt like when she liked him, that she was liking him knowing his flaws and his problems, but also fully aware of how good he was at what he was good at. So, like, I'm not saying they had a healthy relationship by any means, but it felt like it didn't seem like she was, it didn't seem like she was like, maybe I could save him and change him. It was more just like, no, he's an asshole, but he's really fucking good at what he does. So,
I did bring it up on Facebook, but the scene where he shows up after he's been stabbed and needs her to do surgery on him, and then she's gonna stab him with the needle, and then he astral projects his ghost to be like, whoa, not there, go up a little higher. It's like, oh, it's great. He's got to use his ghost to mansplain surgery to his doctor girlfriend.
That's how good at it he was.
Yeah, she listens.
And, it's not just the magic or the surgery, but he is really supreme at mansplaining.
Yeah.
Like, I did feel like for this movie did a really good job of her seeing the crazy shit and not doing the, what's going on? I don't understand. Like, she did a really good job of like, this is crazy. You've been stabbed. Let's solve that first.
Right.
And then explain what's going on.
Yeah.
And even beyond that, she wasn't presented as someone who was scared by everything that's happened. It's just someone who is very vulnerable to jump scares.
Right.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I can definitely sympathize with that. I am very easily frightened, but not as easily scared.
Right. Especially if you're in a hospital or something where there's all kinds of dangerous things, sharp stuff and things, like something's jumping out at you or going to crash or something. You have to be on edge and be ready for that. So,
well, and she's also lived through the Battle of New York. She knows that this kind of stuff is happening. So when it's happening right in front of her, even though it's strange and weird, she's like really doing a good job of holding her shit together and being like, yeah, there's stuff flying around and blowing up, but I also have to keep pressure right here and to do what I need to do to keep this body alive.
Right.
And like that was one of the better versions of a doctor that I've seen in movies in a while. So,
I also like the the scene when Ancient One dies, and then they're just standing and talking in the cafeteria. She does a great job at that, and like it's all happening within a second or something, because you get to see the lightning bolt slowly crossing across the screen. That was pretty cool.
I agree that shot of the lightning going slow, just to give you an idea of how slow time is, like that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, I really love, and maybe I'm just a sucker for this, but I really love moments where you get to talk to a character that has known this is where they were going to die and has made those decisions to reach that point. And it's not because they're suicidal or crazy, but it's like, no, this was the best choice to make.
Right.
And unlike other sacrifice plays, like I had time, like I had lots of time to stare this down, because it's a different kind of bravery that. So like I just enjoy that when you get to see it in a movie.
It's a real Daniel Faraday situation from Lost, where his mother knew he was gonna kill her, but she still raised him to be a great astrophysicist.
Wow. Lost spoilers for me.
Or she kills him. Never mind. She kills him.
Well, now more spoilers.
Yeah. One of them kills each other. I don't remember which. It's been so long. But I'm going to watch Lost tomorrow for the first time in a while. So, now for that. What else? Oh, the final fight? Well, not the final fight, but like the fight where they're attacking the Hong Kong sanctum, and then Doctor Strange shows up and like reverses time, like the whole reverse fight situation. That looked cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I really liked when Caecilius got buried in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was very cool.
Yeah.
There was one part where I forget if it was Mordo or Wong grabbed one of the acolytes and like chucked her through something, and then like the glass went back and she was standing there being like, "Oh, I'm stuck behind glass." And it's like, I mean,
of all the things to be stuck behind,
you broke it in the first place. Like, oh, I gotta do this again?
Yeah.
I did like Wong's line where it was like what's going on? Oh, I'm just breaking the laws of reality and tampering with stuff. Well, don't stop now.
Yeah.
Like that. I really enjoyed that characterization of like, you shouldn't be doing this kind of shit, but like, I kind of have to do this. So
yeah. I was just dead a second ago, so this must be working.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is kind of weird how much they talk about the laws of reality and stuff, and they have to obey them. But also, they're doing magic, which is like already breaking all the laws of reality. So it's a weird line to have.
Like, I think that's like my one criticism of this movie that is within this movie is that like they lightly explain stuff that needed more explanation or no explanation. Like, it's kind of like the Star Wars thing. Like, I've never needed to understand like the rules of light speed in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
It's just never come up until it did. And then as soon as it did, it was like, now we really need the whole fucking thing explained, because up until now we didn't.
Yeah, we just accepted it.
And because it was not explained, we never questioned it.
Right.
It was just like, oh, it's just a plot thing. But now that you've kind of explained that something's possible, that means there's a lot more other things that are possible, and we really need those questions answered. And that's like with the whole like energy from other dimensions and the multiverse. Like, the first time I watched this movie, I was like, multiverse, cool, and then didn't think about it. So like, because I remember when I was watching Spider-Man Far From Home, I was like, oh, are they really going to bring in the multiverse in this one? And then I went back and watched this, and I was like, oh, they were fully aware of the multiverse and Doctor Strange and just never expanded on it.
Yeah.
And it's like it shouldn't have been mentioned, or it needed to be mentioned
Right.
more.
Yeah. We're done. I feel like maybe the directors made some weird choices when it came to how to depict things like the multiverse and stuff, or like the astral plane or whatever was going on. When he was going through, he was just going through space is really what it looked like when he went to the hand dimension and all that stuff. Like it just
Yeah,
looked like he was just being shot around space, like the same way that the
it
Guardians
didn't
of the
look that
Galaxy do.
different
Right.
than when Ant-Man went to the quantum realm.
Right. Or like I think next week maybe, or the week after, whenever we do Guardians of the Galaxy, when they're flying around space, it looks like the exact same. It just looks like he's going through regular space, not through other dimensions or anything.
It looked like when they went through too many Stargates at once.
Right.
I forget if that's in the Guardians
Yeah,
2 or in.
I think. Yeah.
Couldn't remember if it was
figure
that
out.
or when they were doing going to get the big hammer axe.
Could
But
be. Although it's flying through space in just our own dimension, right?
Yeah.
In our own reality. So it doesn't feel like a multiverse. So there's just times like that, and like with the. I know we're done after this. We're not gonna tear up this movie anymore. But the chase scene through New York, where they're doing the inception of the buildings falling and everything, like that, looked cool, but also didn't feel like it had any stakes or any weight to it. Like if they fall, they're not going to be hurt because they do fall at one point, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So there's nothing bad happens in there.
Well, it's all fun and games until the Swinton hits a sidewalk.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they needed to have more nameless people around so that we could have watched people die in the mirror dimension.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, is like in the other movies, when shit's happening, you see more people getting hurt or maimed in an MCU movie than you see in most of the comics. Like in comics, they are really good about getting all the civilians out of an area before things happen.
Yeah, for a number of years they maintained, oh, the Hulk's never killed anyone by accident, and it's like, this is the most implausible shit you've ever told me, Marvel Comics. And you've told me a lot of implausible stuff.
Well, and it's like I really enjoy the whole idea of like superpowered people avoiding confrontations in areas where bad things can happen to bystanders. Like that's neat. Like one of my favorite things in like Spider-Man is the villain is always trying to get the fight to happen around civilians because then Spider-Man is distracted, and Spider-Man's always trying to move it away from civilians so he can actually just beat the hell out of the guy.
Right.
But I love that that's one of the things that makes the hero a hero, is that they've got the two goals of save lives and stop the bad guy. And this one, Doctor Strange didn't have any people to save, so why didn't he just beat the bad guy?
Right. Yeah, the one thing I want to talk about is that right there at the end, where he goes to Dormammu, and he's like, he does that whole time loop thing, and he's, he gets killed a bunch of times, and he talks about how he's willing to lose for the rest of time and everything, and that's supposed to be his big character arc and stuff. But what feels weird about it is that like he's still very in control when he walks up there, and is very, very confident this is going to work. So he said he never gives up that control, never lets go of his ego, because he's like, oh, I'm the smartest, I'm smarter than this guy, I'm going to make this work.
I don't mean to be contrary, but because I feel like you're right in how it came off, but I think what that was supposed to be was him making the same choice as the Ancient One, where the Ancient One was basically like, yeah, I chose to do this. I've been taking power from Dormammu to keep myself alive, and I made the choice to have this be what my life was about, and it's getting me killed. And now that I And at that point, I would still make all the same choices. So
Mm.
I'm going to die. And I feel like rather than Doctor Strange dying over and over again, being the plot choice, it was the character arc. It was I'm never going to be a doctor again. This is
Mm.
what I am now. I am the thing that's standing between you and Earth. That's
Right.
his arc, and I don't feel like that was given enough weight to really come through. But I think that's what the writers were trying.
Yeah. And I can see it, like, yeah, as a plot point, it makes a lot of sense for him to be like, okay, I'm going to, yeah, I'm giving up my life for the rest of time just to be here and get stabbed with rocks or whatever. But like, you don't, yeah, the way that they're showing it, I think the director, like you said, makes weird choices in this movie. Where like he comes in, he's super confident. This is gonna work, and like as soon as after the first time he dies, you're like, oh, this is his plan. He's gonna beat this. There's never doubt even in the audience's mind that of what's going on, and that he's going to prevail through his smarts.
And I think like that could have been solved too with a line of like Dormammu being like, even if I let you go, I'm still coming for Earth,
Hmm.
and Doctor Strange being like, and I'm still gonna be on Earth. So
Right.
like then it would have sold that like this moment, like yes, Doctor Strange knows he's going to win this moment, but he also knows that winning this moment is going to cost him everything that he had previously. That he's just going to have to live in like a super nice mansion with magic in New York.
Yeah.
He's never going to get to be a doctor again.
Yeah.
Um, it's got that cool skylight. Legitimate reason to wear a cape.
Yeah.
Which
The cape is cool.
that's one thing that I really do
Right.
like about this movie is like I felt like Aladdin's carpet didn't get enough acting work because like in Aladdin, like I felt like that carpet really had a character, it was really stealing every scene it was in, it was trying, it was putting in that time,
Right.
and it's nice to see it got a role as the cape.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same character, but it's a fun character. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad that they found a way to bring that character into another medium because it is the most fun.
Right. That was part of the whole Disney buying Marvel thing. It was like finally we can make this part of the Marvel universe.
I'm
The
so
flying
glad,
carpets.
Chad. I thought you were falling asleep there for a second. 'Cause,
I
like,
was.
oh, okay.
Oh. He thinks flying carpets are boring.
Yeah.
Like I like the cape and everything. I'm just oof, I don't know. I guess there was too much carbs in the quesadillas I just ate,
Oh,
or
yeah.
something, and I'm sugar crashing. I
Mm.
don't know.
Pinch your nipple.
Yeah, it's just siesta time.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, but the cape it does. I did want to make sure to bring up Scott Adkins, and it wraps its head around Scott Adkins and beats him up. Who is he was the one henchman who did all the fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's like the king of like direct to video action movie sequels. Like he's in like Sniper Part 5 and what is it, Universal Soldier 4 or something, like in a lot of those kind of movies. So it's
Like
cool that he's
he's
in a Marvel
dated a
movie.
lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme's exes.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
Well, he is the king of sequels, apparently.
Yeah.
I do have to say that I think that cape is my favorite fight scene when it just wraps that guy up and it's just like slamming him into shit where I'm just like, that cape is brutal. He's like,
Yeah.
I know this blood's not coming out. That's what I'm red. Like,
That's hilarious. Just imagining that the cape was originally white, but it's brutalized so many people.
Yeah. So soaked up with the blood of its enemies.
Yeah, what color is the cape? Be positive.
I just love the idea that the reason why, unlike all the other artifacts, that one's in its own little cage is because, like, it's like grabbed people, been like, let's go flying. Anyway, I'm done, and just drops it. Like,
Just gets
it,
bored.
it is just a stone cold killer cape that has like a blood pool or Deadpool sense of humor. Like,
All right.
Now that is a fight that I would pay to see. Deadpool versus the Cape.
Where's the Cape? Yeah. Well, we will see one of the Avengers movies beat somebody up, right? I can't remember who or in what context, but that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got the Stan Lee cameo. He's on the bus during the chase through the mirror dimension.
He's reading the Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley.
There you go. Seems like a real
Which
lost
is a good
thing.
one. Yeah. It's not the best cameo of Stan Lee on a bus, but I feel like the Doors of Perception was a good, if you were paying attention, joke. So that elevates the cameo a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. One of these days we have to do a tier ranking of all the Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mid credits, we get Thor talking to Doctor Strange about Loki, and they got to find Odin. I forgot, even though we just watched Thor 2, that was a thing that they had to find Odin.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened in that movie.
Loki took over for Odin at the end.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because he's like in disguise as Odin, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
That's
Yes.
right.
Okay. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's why at the beginning of Ragnarok he has the play commissioned about the tragedy of Loki.
Ah.
And then he's just sitting there eating grapes as Odin, watching it.
It's fun. It's a fun
Man,
movie. It's coming up
Ragnarok's
soon.
such a good movie.
Yeah. We're gonna have fun with that. Very soon, in a couple weeks, sometime this month.
Other Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Before Strange's accident, while he's driving like a maniac, they reference War Machine's accident from Civil War as one of the potential surgery cases that he could take on. And he said, yeah, there's 50 other guys that could do it.
Right.
Give me something challenging.
But they didn't find any of those guys.
Right, yeah, because he just got robot legs instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arguably, that might be better.
The other Easter eggs that I found, they mention Master Drum as the guy who was guarding the New York sanctum that kind of got taken out by the Zealots. That is Daniel Drum, aka Brother Voodoo. And the credits mention that Tina Minoru is a character in this movie. So I went back to try and find her in here. She shows up in the scene where various unnamed Asian people are helping Wong defend the Hong Kong sanctum. And she is actually carrying what looks exactly like the Staff of One.
Yeah, cool.
Do you know who that is, Jones?
No.
She's from the Runaways.
Oh, okay.
That's the mother of Nico Minoru, aka Sister Grimm.
Oh, I have that character on Marvel Puzzle Quest. I know that.
And for those of you watching at home or later, the Staff of One can do virtually any spell just one time.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's one time per user.
Yeah, one time per user. But it's like, it's a great one for like a low-powered person to do a really high-powered spell one time. But it's also one of those ones where it's like you can make up a bunch of stupid spells and that do the same thing, just phrased slightly different.
Yep. You definitely want to own a thesaurus if you own the Staff of One.
The Hong Kong Sanctum, I think, I didn't look it up, but I think it looks a lot like the club in Police Story Lockdown, the new Police Story movie that they made a few years ago. It looks like it's the same spot, but I don't know.
Okay.
One thing that I did, and I know we were talking about the whitewashing in this one, but where the sanctums were of like Hong Kong, London, and New York, like I feel like maybe there should have been one in like Africa.
Right.
Just like we had that like northern hemisphere,
right? Exactly.
And we're just kind of like, fuck you, Southerners. Like, Like, why didn't Dormammu show up in Argentina and just be like,
Yeah, nobody can
no
stop
one's
me.
here? Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah,
New York and
honest,
London aren't that far apart. What are you
if
saying,
they
Jeff?
really wanted to have the thing in Europe, it shouldn't have been London. It should have been like Sicily or something.
Hmm.
Like as far south in Europe as you can get, basically.
Right.
it would have been
Also,
cool if they had one in Wakanda.
yeah,
Like, that's all I wanted. Was like,
mhm. That would have been amazing, but Wakanda would have been so OP
Yeah.
if they have a tradition of magic users and
Yeah.
vibranium.
no, like that's the thing that I really wanted though. Of like, they have no tradition. It's just like New York, where they have no idea that it's there.
Just the
So
one
when
guy,
like
weird guy in the village.
Hmm.
when like the Black Panther's like, oh, I talked to Bast, and like the Wakandan sorcerer is like, oh yeah, Bast, she's cool, man. Like, she hangs out at my place. Like, I had to get like, I got a black sofa just so that she wouldn't shed all over it. Um, cool. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been a great. That would have been, especially like, it would have been just a fun joke in the Infinity end game of just like Black Panther shows up and then like one random Wakanda wizard, and he's just like, since when? Like,
Yeah, it's like Wakanda problems aren't his deal. His deal's interdimensional problems. One last thing to mention is the post-credits scene where Mordo takes Benjamin Bratt's powers away.
and by powers you mean face and ability to walk
Yeah.
ever again.
Also, his hands get all palsied too.
Yeah. So I kind of forgot that even happened. Like, oh, is Mordo supposed to be the bad guy in the new Doctor Strange movie? It's been so long between Doctor Strange stuff that it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I guess he's gonna be.
I don't
It's
think
not
so.
the bad guy. At least a big part. Though.
I want to say that the bad guy's supposed to be Nightmare,
Oh.
which would make sense because it's multiverse of madness,
Right.
and it's supposed to be kind of horror-ish.
Yeah, because it's Sam Raimi directing it,
Mhm.
right? So that's looking forward to that.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can look forward to seeing Bruce Campbell finally
Yes.
enter the MCU.
Yeah.
Let him
I'm
be
sure
the
it's going to
Wakanda
happen.
sorcerer.
It better happen. That and the what was this card? I can't remember what it is.
Sam Raimi's brother?
Yeah, Sam Raimi's car and his brother. His Oldsmobile 88.
Oh,
It's in all his movies.
Uncle Ben's car.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we'll talk all about it when we get to Multiverse of Madness sometime in July.
I don't know that we're going to be able to, because I mean, how are we going to watch it?
Oh,
Or are we all just going to go to the theater?
I guess we're gonna go to the theater.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
we can
record it on our
make it a
phones
day
and
trip.
watch it by then.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can come. You guys can come watch Spider-Man with me, and then we'll
Mhm.
all go watch Multiverse of Madness
Yeah.
together.
It'll be fun. And we'll
What's
stream
the
it all
next
live for
movie?
you guys. Next week it's Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with maybe
Mhm.
Joe Lewis.
And then the week after that is going to be Homecoming.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll finish out the month with I just said it. I forgot already.
Ragnarok.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are headed into the nothing but bangers section.
Yeah. Have fun rest of the month.
Hmm.
So, where did you guys have this movie previously, and where is it now in your rankings?
I always forget to open up the old list thing, and I have to
Yeah.
scroll through my Google Drive. Like, where did I put this? What did I name the list of MCU rankings?
I want to say that on my previous one, it was like the low end of middle, and now I want to say it's at like, it didn't move that much, but it's definitely at the top of the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So it went down for you.
It went down for me. but that's mostly because like I feel like when I saw this one previously, it was like I was caught up in the like I just seen Civil War, then just nothing but good came out, so it kind of like it was the falter step that I just kind of
Right.
forgot the bad parts about it. But like rewatching it, I was very much like, oh, all of these characters are cooler, and the stories make more sense, and their powers are cooler in every other movie they're in. So
Yeah, definitely. I think
I,
this is the low point for Doctor Strange. Were you saying, Chad?
I actually had this at the sort of bottom of the middle
Mm,
movies uh, in my original rankings, which again are incomplete. Uh, but in the new version of this, I actually slotted it in just below Iron Man 3, above Guardians of the Galaxy, as number 6 in the
wow.
new rankings. Because, like I said, a lot of the problems that I had with the movie were not with the movie, it's with what I wanted the movie to be.
Mm,
And uh, for what it was, I thought it was really good, and it kept my attention better than Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm gonna say is really the only thing holding Guardians back
no.
from having cracked the top
All right.
five. Because uh like Iron Man 3 is good and I like it a lot, but all of these other ones are just like missing like one crucial thing to have been better than Iron Man 3.
Mm,
when I feel like one of the things like, and maybe this is just the difference in how we look at movies and stories. But I feel like the one of the things that I'm finding when I look back at it is some of the movies that I like a lot, like in my memory. Like in my memory, really liked Guardians of the Galaxy, and when I rewatched, I was like, oh, since I've heard the jokes before, it's not quite as much fun.
mm,
Hmm.
Like I lose that replayability factor on it quite a bit. This one doesn't lose as much replayability because it's just as good every time, and like paying attention to it, I can like
mm.
see neat different things. So
And
like
the one really good joke doesn't get old.
yeah,
It's very funny.
I can think of Mr. Doctor literally every day of my life and I'll still smile.
I forget what the joke was at the end of the movie when Wong finally laughs. Um,
Oh,
now I'm
it was the one because it was right after Strange. He says something about. Oh, it was like read the whole book or whatever because
yeah,
the warnings are after the spell.
yeah, and like that one, it wasn't the joke that was funny, but like Wong sold it with that laugh where I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that, now I know what he finds funny.
Right.
Like is I thought that was actually a really well written
Hmm.
joke. Um,
Yeah,
so
that was one of those ones where I was like, that's I like Benedict Wong doing it, but also like, oh, he would. This is the moment where Strange is having like his cool guy moment of
yeah,
like saying his one liner thing, and then we're gonna take the gas out of it by having him laugh way too big over it. But it was a fun moment for him, but I don't like that kind of humor at all. I'm
yeah.
conflicted about that joke. 'Cause I don't know if I
Like
like
Uh,
it or not.
I think that part of the joke is the fact that he's like, oh, this is your action hero one liner.
Right.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
See, I guess I didn't.
But I just want him to
I
have the moment. I want Strange to be able to have his one liner moment.
I feel like for me, like his his one liner moment wasn't that good, but I felt like the laugh because of how the joke was written and like Wong finding that funny. Like I learned more about that character, like because
Hmm.
it didn't seem like oh, this is for the audience. It felt more like Wong being like, ha, you're right. He should read the rest of the book.
Yeah. I
Stupid
think
Dormammu.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So
like
I'm with you. I like it because it works for his character because he's laughing because he thinks it's cool. He thinks it's
yeah,
cool that he said it. He's not laughing at him for saying it like a dork.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back in.
Yeah.
I'm pro that joke.
And here's the thing: this is how you knew you should have been
Right.
Benedict Wong.
Yeah, that's why I was
Is
like,
one-
I was questioning my like or dislike. But my rankings, I had this at the bottom of all the movies I had seen originally, just because, like I said, it's hard for me to get over all the CGI stuff, which is like, what are you gonna do in a 21st century sci-fi comic book movie? You gotta accept that's part of it. So when I'm not sitting there shaking my head at that and letting go of some of the whitewashing stuff and just watching the movie for what it is, it moved up from the very bottom to the top of the bottom. So it's in between the Captain America movies right now, right under Winter Soldier and right above Civil War. So there's not as many times where I'm watching it and going, I don't like what's going on. Like I think that happens a lot more in Civil War than in this. So. Top of the bottom for me, like bottom third.
Yeah, Civil War was kind of one of those movies where it's just like there's these awesome moments, and all the rest of the movie you're just like, what? Why?
It's like, why do I know why this is happening? And I know that this isn't necessary for the movie, but I understand why you're doing this as
Mhm.
part of the Disney Corporation.
Whereas I felt like Doctor Strange was a couple of moments of what? Why? And most of the movie was like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess where for me in Civil War, I was like, oh, this is what it looks like when a bad guy's winning. Like, of course, I'm sitting here in the audience being like, stop doing this, but this is what it looks like when the bad guy's winning.
Right.
Mhm.
So I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing when I'm like, Luke Skywalker, don't stop training, don't fight Darth Vader,
Yeah.
like stop. But like that's what it looks like when the dark side gets in your head.
Yeah.
So I liked Empire Strikes Back. In this one, it was for me like my biggest indictment about it was like I walked out of it being like, so time travel is going to be a big part of beating Thanos, right? Because like that's why we showed Thanos and then we showed Doctor Strange with the Time Stone. That's not what the Eye of Agamotto was in the beginning. So it's definitely going to be time travel. And,
right. You're right, but it was a different kind of time travel.
But it was a different kind of time travel. I'm not like really, I'm not ripping where they went with it.
Right.
It's just like for me, this movie was like, oh, the only reason for this movie was so that when Doctor Strange was in the next upcoming movies, we felt like we knew him.
Yeah, it was Chekhov's time travel plot device.
Yeah. Because time is a big motif in this movie. I don't really think it's much of a theme, but like they do a lot of stuff with the watches and talking about time and stuff. It doesn't really play into the plot as much as you think it does, except that he uses it at the end. But definitely a big motif.
I don't know where the video cut out and where I started laughing, but to me, this is how it went.
Right.
David being like, yeah, because like time. And that's where it froze. I was like, that's beautiful, and only I get to see it. That's not right. But
I was wondering why it was so funny.
Yeah.
What David was saying. I was just like, okay.
Well, because I thought I'd been completely kicked out, so I was laughing. I thought alone in my room, and then it like brought me back in. And I was like, oh no, that was inappropriate laughter. But I mean, it was called for. It definitely deserved the laugh, but nobody else will get it. I'm a dick.
Thank you for explaining it, though.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't hear what David was saying about time, it was a theme, but not a theme, but a motif. Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Like they mention time a lot. There's a lot of time imagery.
Yeah, like the broken watch and everything.
Right. Yeah. So it's good foreshadowing for their use of time later. Speaking of time, it's time for a segment.
Okay.
In the show segment. You guys don't know sign language, right? I meant to ask you.
You
know a few words, everyone knows.
Like a couple of words, not much. I don't think I remember any letter except the S.
I know the alphabet.
I think L is just making an L with your hand. Yeah, that's the only thing I ever learned, and I don't know any of it anymore. But tonight we're going to I found how to do sign language, the names of various superheroes.
Okay.
And so using my hands, like Doctor Strange, I am going to sign some superhero names, and whoever just call them out when you get it, and whoever gets the most wins. You'll be the sign master. Finger King. You'll be the Finger King. Okay, here we go.
When the prize was being sign master, I was like,
Right.
nah, I don't really care. But now
Yeah.
Finger King, it's competitive.
Yeah.
hmm
It's time to find who's the Finger King. This is the first one. Hold up my hand.
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah. Point to Rory. You guys
Yeah.
keep track of your own points because I'm not.
I've got 5.
Okay, so the next one is
Captain America.
yeah.
All right, so I also have 5.
Pretty
Then.
easy. Yeah. It's 5 points per question. Per sign. Okay, next one is
Oh, Scarlet Witch.
no. Up here. My eyes are up here.
Um,
My hands are up here. I don't know if you can see.
Thor.
No.
that's not Iron Man, is it?
No.
Or Hawkeye?
No.
Vision.
No.
No, now we're just
Bigger.
naming random
Bigger.
characters.
Jay-Z.
Go bigger.
Ant-Man.
Bigger. Wait, no, not bigger.
Giant
Smaller.
Man.
Smaller than Giant Man.
Wasp.
Man. Just
No.
Man. It was not
Man's
Ant-Man
not
or
part of his
Giant.
name.
Okay. The Wasp.
One word name. One
Oh.
one syllable name.
Thor. No.
No. Bigger than Thor.
Hulk.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Point to Rory.
20 points right over here. This
Yeah.
is what happens when I keep track.
You get 1 point for every time you guess incorrectly. So
Nice.
let's stack those up. Okay, so the next one is okay.
Iron Man.
Vision.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I have 6 points.
Okay, get your fingers on the buzzer for this one.
Spider-Man.
I think I heard
I would
Rory
have been
first.
so upset if you had gotten that one.
So this video I found of how to sign these Marvel superhero characters, like half of the ones aren't Marvel characters, and that's what all of the comments in the video are about.
Why don't you give us one of the not a Marvel character then?
Okay, let me see.
So it turns out that there's a sign language for all of their names, but nothing for DC or Marvel. So that's why they're interweaving them so much.
Okay, here's the next one. Not a Marvel character. Is that right?
Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
Because you were doing an S on your chest.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's one letter that I know in sign language, and it's S.
Oh, is that you?
I was having a hard time seeing his hand down here.
Oh, yeah, I dropped
that
under the camera. I need to zoom out a little bit here.
No, I mean, Chad got it. I was like, something hat. What is that? Oh.
Yeah, so point to Chad. I think, Chad, you're up by 1 right now.
No, I think I might
Or you
got
tied?
7 because I didn't get one of the ones where we kept guessing wrong.
I think that was just the
So
Hulk
Rory
one.
has like 21.
I got Hulk and
Then you got Spider-Man, and that was the last
Spider-Man,
one before
and I got the
Superman.
first one, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah, you
The
guys are all
first one
netted
was
up.
worth 5 points, and then the second one, because we kept guessing wrong, you got 20 points for that
That's
one.
right. So then we hard one to
Yes.
catch up on, but I believe you can do it.
Yeah,
You can do
I
it,
just need
Chad.
Rory to fuck up a lot.
Yeah. All right. So here's the next one.
Wonder Woman.
No.
Is it Marvel still or DC?
Marvel. This is a name that's been said tonight at some point in our conversation about
Witch?
Marvels. No.
Black Widow.
Wasp,
Nope.
Ant-Man,
No.
Giant Man.
No. Smaller than Giant Man, but bigger than Wasp, which I think is everyone.
Thanos.
No.
No, he's got to be.
Yeah. Part of what I'm signing is the his character's like thing.
It's not Hawkeye, is it?
No.
Um,
Star-Lord?
No. It's a space guy.
Groot,
No.
Rocket,
Nope.
Drax,
No.
The Collector?
No.
Loki,
It's someone you don't think of as a space guy. Closer.
Thor, or no,
Yeah, Thor.
Odin.
Wait, no,
Oh,
you took
Thor.
it back. Never mind.
Thor.
It's Thor. So I think that's 30 points for the number of incorrect answers.
That was. I don't get
The
it.
hammer.
I
right?
think that's got to be a lot more of a
Yeah, it should be more like that. I think we're just kind of outlining
talk big.
the edge of the
Mhm.
hammer, and then that's the most.
That's how you
hammery
like.
part.
Oh,
Whisper.
okay. I get it now.
All right. So next one. It's not a Marvel character, but I think the sign for a similar Marvel character. This is the same sign probably for Marvel characters.
Black Cat,
I'll accept either one. No.
Catwoman,
The
Flash.
Flash, Quicksilver.
It's the Flash, but I would have accepted Quicksilver as well. Point
Well,
to
we can
Chad.
split that point. I'll take the smaller half. You take the larger half.
All right.
So I'm at like 20 and one small half, and Chad is at like
I think I'm
20
at like
and one
11
big half.
now.
Yeah, that's when it needs to be. I should be putting those on the screen, but I am too busy looking at this video. All right, next one. Here we go.
Wonder Woman.
No.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The W's from the hands.
You can't
Mhm.
smile, dude.
That's how I think
Like-
of Wolverine. He makes me smile. He's a smiley guy, right?
But
No.
that's
Yellow.
like almost West Side Story, you know? Like
Okay, so how many more we got here? That's the last one. Last one. This is for the win, I think.
All right, this one's worth triple points.
Yeah, triple points.
whoa. What? Oh.
Where'd it go?
All right, so there's a mime and they're talking. Scarlet Witch.
Ah, where'd it go? Nice.
Huh.
It's a female character though. So
Yeah,
I think this has to do with being pretty
think
good
that's-
looking or something.
I think it's actually like the boobs for the mom or
Right.
the woman. Because I know like that's the hat.
Right.
It's not Scarlet Witch, right? Or Black
No, it's just
Widow?
not a Marvel character.
Oh, is it? It's not
Wonder Woman.
It is Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Who said that first?
I think we said it at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
missed
All
the
right.
point on that one.
Chad, I think we should just agree that we are both going to be dual finger kings,
No.
like
Yeah.
the Spartans of old.
Mhm. We're like the founders of Rome together.
Yeah, that
I'm
works out
Finger
for them.
King Remus, and you're Finger King other guy whose name means wolf.
Yeah. Remus and Romulus, right?
They're both
Yeah, there
wolf
you go.
guys.
The Fingulus and
Fingulus and Fingulor.
Fingulor.
Awesome.
All right, that's our show for tonight, guys. This was fun. We're gonna end it. Fingulus and Fingulor.
Wait,
Thank you everybody for watching. And well, yeah, we'll
I
be back.
can't edit my name yet. Next week I will come back as Finguloid.
Yes. Put that in your Twitter bios and Tinder bios, everyone. You've earned it from the title, Fingulus and Finguloid. But yeah, next week. What is it? What did we say? Guardians 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, with probably Joe Lewis. So we'll see you guys then.
All right.
See you then. No, we'll there's no kiss in this movie. There's a kiss on the cheek, which I don't count. That's so instead we're going to we're gonna ride out on a little bit of this video on American Sign Language. So I forgot to mention that the lady doing the sign language, she doesn't have a human face. It is a weird like emoji face. So yeah, we'll ride out on that silent video and see you guys next week.
Oh God, she's got real hands.
Goodbye. Yeah. Night, everybody.